everybody, I'm Anna, I'm one of the two mythical unicorns. Welcome to our channel and welcome to this video. Today I will be talking about all the trilogies I finished in 2018. And the reason that I finished a lot of trilogies in 2018 is that when I visited Michelle when she was living in Belfast, I bought a lot of books because they are cheaper in the UK, and also because they have other titles. Here in Sweden we have a lot of Swedish titles and Swedish authors, and most Swedish people like to read domestic things. So when I was there I decided to go crazy and bought a lot of books and Michelle somewhere has a video of just how crazy I went.
And that, my friends, is 15 books in about 2 hours.
But yeah, and then the same thing happened when I lived in Edinburgh. I bought a few books and a lot of them were first ones in trilogies. And then they never showed up when I was back home, and I was waiting for the next one to come out, but then I missed it because I didn't see it anywhere here. So then I decided in the beginning of 2018 that okay, but I have started a lot of things that I've never finished, and I'm gonna finish them. Let's talk about them. So the first trilogy is by Francesca Haig. It is The Fire Sermon, The Map of Bones, and The Forever Ship. This trilogy is quite different from other dystopian fantasy trilogies I've read before. It has a different feeling to it. It feels more real and realistic than, for example, The Hunger Games or The Maze Runner, but it's still set in the future, and there is some magic. Well, not magic perhaps, but there are people who kind of can see the past or the future and having visions and things, and I would put that in the fantasy category. It is set in the far, far future, where the Earth has been badly damaged by radiation. I don't remember if there was a nuclear war or if there was something else that happened, but radiation has kind of ruined the planet. And the human was on the brink of extinction, and then they coped, the bodies kind of somehow coped by having twins instead. One perfectly healthy alpha and one weaker, somehow defected omega, for what we now call a perfectly healthy human being. And perfect feels kind of bad saying, but the omegas, they tend to be weaker, or they are weaker somehow, and they are defected by having extra toes or missing an arm, or then there are people having visions. And the omegas are also sterile, so they can't have any children of their own. But yeah, so in this society the alphas live by themselves and omegas live by themselves, separated, because the alphas sees the omegas as inferior, and therefore they send away their own children. Because remember, the twins, always one alpha, always one omega, so they always send the omega away. And the main character in this story, she is living with her family and trying to hide that she's the omega for as long as she possibly can, because she's one of those who has visions, and therefore they can't tell by just looking at her that she's the omega. So she's trying to stay as long as she can because she doesn't want to go away from her family. And then things happen and evolve, and it was really exciting and took quite a few turns that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, that was that one. Next one we have Mallory Blackman with Noughts and Crosses, Knife Edge and Checkmate. I loved Noughts and Crosses when I first read it, and when I reread it now to read the other two, I still really enjoyed it. I could notice that I had grown up quite a bit and it was not quite the same, but it's still a really good book, and it also has this societal kind of hidden meaning. Well, not really hidden. The crosses are black people and the noughts are white people, and the crosses are the ones that rule society. So it's about these two children, one nought, one cross, who kind of grew up together because Callum's mom was a nanny or a housemaid, and they kind of hung out and played as children, and then they continued. And it's about the two of them and their relationship. And the book ended quite abruptly in an unexpected way. And I didn't realize that there were two books to continue the series, and the two books sucked. It is the two worst books that I've ever read, and if anyone out there has read them and loved them, good for you, because I don't want you to suffer through books that you don't enjoy. But I did not enjoy it. It sucked. It took a turn. It had so much potential, and then it just took a turn somewhere else, and I was so disappointed. So if you're gonna read this, I recommend the first book. I don't recommend the two next ones. Next up is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray, followed by 10,000 Skies Above You and A Million Worlds With You. And these books are just so pretty. I mean, even if you didn't want to read them, it's like, yeah, I could just have these on my shelf and display them, because look at them, so pretty, so pretty. It is about Marguerite, and Marguerite is the daughter of two scientists. She has an older sister who is a scientist, and in her house there are always kind of postgraduates that are working underneath her parents that are also scientists. But Marguerite, she is not a scientist, she's a painter, and she always feels kind of left out. Though she loves her family and her parents, and she really enjoys having the postgrads around, and that is her life. And her parents are a bit crazy. They are building this Firebird because they have a theory that you can travel between different worlds, and there are different dimensions, and then you could go visit in these dimensions. And that is what the Firebird is for. Marguerite's dad is murdered, and the guy who is believed to have done it is Paul, one of the undergraduates, postgraduates. I don't know these things. He has taken the Firebird and left to another dimension. So Marguerite, who is absolutely furious and grief-stricken, she goes with Theo, the other postgraduate, undergraduate thingy. They have extra Firebirds, so they go out to chase Paul and track him down. But things are way more complicated than they seem. As it always is. The same as with Mallory Blackman, I could notice now that I reread this one that I was older and had some different views, but it was still really good. I still really enjoyed the other two books. I probably would have enjoyed them more if I read them when I was 20, but still really good books, still really good story, and I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. Next up we have Robin Hobb and the Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest. And that is the first trilogy in her story. There are more. I have not read those. It is a really interesting world. It is well written. But Fitz, who is the main character, sometimes drives me insane. And he drove me insane to the point where I got mad in life, and I had to take a break in the books because I didn't want to break up with my boyfriend, because I think if I had continued reading them I would just have been a monster and no one would have put up with me. So I just had to take a break. They are really good, they're really interesting. It is set in a medieval kind of world where Fitz is a bastard of the prince who is supposed to become king. He is taken from his mother. I think his grandfather is just, you cannot keep this child, and gives it away to the king. And then he kind of grows up in the castle, and the crown prince, he leaves and decides that no, I'm not gonna become the king because this is a scandal and my reputation has been ruined, I don't deserve this, and then he leaves. And Fitz has really no one but the stable master. But he has no one but the stable master to look after him, and they kind of become friends and close, and then things are not going as well in this world as it seems. Or actually it doesn't seem to go very well, and there are these ships with very strange people that are almost not people, and they turn people into not zombie, maybe zombies, kind of. Like they become horrible people and they don't care about anything and they can just eat you up. Like, I need food, you are right there, I'm gonna take whatever from you. And what's really interesting is that people are named after their most prominent ability. So Prince Chivalry is chivalrous, and Prince Verity and King Shrewd, he's shrewd. You get it. It's really interesting, it's really good. Fitz is not always doing the good things. Next up we have Kimberly Darting with The Pledge, The Essence and The Offering. This was also one of those that I bought when I was visiting Michelle, so I was like 20, and it's really interesting. It kind of shows that Kimberly Darting is not as good as at building the world, I think, or maybe it's just her writing style that makes it a bit more contained and smaller. But it's about Charlena, who is 17 and she goes to high school with her friends, and in the afternoon she works at her parents' restaurant. And in the society where she lives, everyone knows the common language, English, and then depending on what part of society you're in, what, like in the hierarchy, you know another language, except if you're in the absolute bottom, because then you just know English. And Charlena is like working class, so she knows one other language and she's supposed to know that. And when someone above you talks in their language, you're not allowed to look at them, and if you look at them you could be executed. Yeah, and it's not a good thing. There is a queen who rules like the country, and there are other queens in all the other countries, and they have one special power of some sort, depending on what queen, and they all have different powers, and that is why only queens can rule, because men don't inherit this power. The thing is that Charlena, she understands all languages, and there is a war as well. So they're kind of scared of the war that's also going on. Next up we have Sally Green with Half Bad, Half Wild and Half Lost. And this one was so good. When I first read Half Bad, I didn't think it was that good, but when I reread it, I found it way better, and then I just binge read. I did not watch it, binge read the whole thing, and there were a lot of emotions. It is about Nathan, who is a witch, and all witches are either good or bad witches. And Nathan is the only one in the entire world known of that is half white and half bad, because his mom was a white witch and his dad was a black witch. There, the title, half bad. His mother kills himself when he's a little kid, and he has two older siblings and one younger, or 3 older siblings. There are a lot of siblings, and then there's his grandmother who is raising them all. And Nathan kind of doesn't fit in, and the government, the magical government, is really keeping tabs on him, and like they have these absurd rules for him that he's not allowed to go places, and he's not allowed to do things, and he has to be escorted, and they do not trust him. And he's a little boy, but this little boy, he kind of grows up, and he falls in love with a girl in his high school, and things are going both good and bad, and you get to follow him as his story is told, and then we continue in these 2 books. It's really good. If you like fantasy and you want something set in the modern kind of day, this is really good. Though they're not really in the modern day, because they are a lot in the woods. But still, love this book. Team Gabrielle all the way. And of the trilogies, the last one we have is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and it is Illumine, Gemini, and Obsidio. And well, I didn't finish this until this year, because it was the year that Obsidio came out, the last one. But this is probably one of the best books or trilogies I've ever read. It is so good, okay? It is amazing, and it's done in a different way, so it's not told in the normal way, it's just documents of what has happened and footage that has been transcribed, and then we follow the story from that and from chats online and things. So it is set in a world where people live out in different planets and different solar systems, and then you can travel between them. And Katie is living on it's not a planet, it's called something else. Yeah, okay. So she lives on a planet and a colony that is illegal, and then one day they are attacked and they have to flee, and there is kind of a war, and they have to survive out on the ships, and there's a lot of things going on. And then in Gemini we get to follow 2 other people, and in this one, because Hannah, who is one of the main characters here, she is really good at drawing. So in this one there are a lot of drawings and pictures as well, and then we have these kind of things, like, so it's really nice to read and interactive, and it's not just text on the pages, there are a lot of things going on. So that was really good, and it's, yeah, the favorite one of my all-time favorites. And I said in one video that I don't really read sci-fi, but I guess I have to take that back, because I've talked about more than one sci-fi here. So really good. I highly recommend this. I thought that just for funsies that I was gonna talk about duologies that I read as well. But this time I read both books last year. And the first one is Passenger and Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken. And I did a full review of them that you can find somewhere on our channel for when I read this, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it. I read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bordogo. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that is the way I'm pronouncing it here. Also really good. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who have done reviews because they are really popular and really good. And it's about a gang and thieves that are pulling off a heist, and you get to follow the whole process. It's really good. And lastly, it's The Savage Song and Our Dark Jet by V. Schwab. And there will also be a review on our channel, if it's not already out, for what I thought about this, because I did this as well for our judging books by their covers. It's really good, really good. So yeah, that was all the trilogies I read in 2018. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and until next time, bye!